I don't think that out of all the people you might likely exchange dialogue with on their daily in your life, that I, a random YouTuber that might likely be a wizard, has to be the one to tell you that the average gamer needs a fat wallet, some patience, and the stomach to digest the sheer amount of buffoonery that we go through in gaming. You know this. The era of the $70 price tag and, God knows whether the skyrocketing number for the deluxe and, collector's edition of games have planted their seed in our favorite pixel pleasure industry and have grown enough monumental branches full of live game services and quote quadruple A games. I can't make this shit up. However, when it comes to these big releases that we get nowadays, even though the content of the game can vary from a bunch of developers just breeding together played out game mechanics and seasoning it with RTX graphics, all the way up to something you probably won't ever forget in a good way, all these games have in common the aforementioned price tag, US $70, and the rightful translation of price to other currencies. I'd look it up, but I've already started yapping, so I just gotta finish it. But we have like hella factors to take into account as to why the $70 price tag for our games is where it is right now, and a bunch of factors that almost 4 years into its implementation, I'm sure that most of you have heard of and got tucked into your knowledge like the ABCs. However, that logic might not have rubbed off on some people, including actual company CEOs like game studio Saber Interactive's Matthew Karch, who recently gave a statement during an interview about his prediction on game prices that has people wondering if this guy's brain is receiving electrical signals anymore, or that they're mildly agreeing with him. Now, how you will feel about his statements is up for you to decide. My role is nothing more than a mere wizard with a message, but let's first see what Matthew Karch said about these game prices. So word for word, in Karch's recent interview with IGN, he explained that as games become more expensive to make, the $70 title is going to go the way of the dodo bird. I just don't think it's sustainable. Look, you remember the hype for Cyberpunk 2077, which I think ultimately performed okay, but when the expectations are so high and so much money is put into one title, it's hugely risky for the company that's doing it. I think the market is going to shift to development, which is not necessarily lower quality, but there's going to be an emphasis on trying to find a way to reduce the cost. Now, Saber Interactive recently split its company from the collective gaming business empire of Embracer Group after the ongoing news of Embracer Group imploding on themselves, but ironically, one of Saber Interactive's upcoming games is going to be Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2, in which they are pricing it at $70, something that Karch defended in this same interview, saying that this is done so people don't think that this is a bad quality game. So, like, y'all can have that one. I'll let y'all do what you want with that information. But contradiction aside, ultimately, he's applying that, since there's so much risk money in games nowadays, that developers will likely shift to taking down production costs, which could in turn lead to less games at the $70 price tag. At least that's what I got from his statement. He also pointed out current successful games right now that are less than $70, like Helldivers 2, which he claims is the business model that he wants Saber Interactive to emulate. A wildly fun and successful game that doesn't charge an arm and a leg for you to obtain, depending on your, situation, of course. And, this is where I gotta step into the territory of the opinion zone and, where I gotta chime in, because while I can sort of see his vision on the model that, Karch is going for, saying that you don't need big prices to be successful, which is 1000% true, however, he's begging on the biggest gaming corporations in the world to cut down their margins just to please the consumers' pockets, aka the people who pay for all of these games, which is pretty much impossible for them to even think of. We've already had to live with the fact that for decades now, at the pinnacle point of leadership behind all these game studios, companies, and publishers, that the focus isn't mainly on making good games, but instead on making good money. It's the reason that so much money has been invested into all these IPs right now, all for the hopes of it generating it all back and then some. And while there is always going to be the risk factor of having a crazy budget like Karch mentioned, even still, do you really think that they're going to stop because of that? I mean, I just truly don't think it won't anytime soon. Until the method of people buying the same games every year for retail prices plus the paid live service DLC content just doesn't work anymore, I'd say that we're still going to see games at least try the same thing, whether they work or fail, and who knows, we'll probably see an increase in overall prices now that we've been talking about it. But let's just leave it there, because I'm already getting depressed. Now, that's not to say that there still won't be a general revise in overall prices after having bombs like Skull and Bones, which developers will have no choice but to take into account the price tag. But overall, because of the economy and the things that we just talked about right now, I can only see these game prices either staying where they are or possibly going up. So only time will tell if I'm right or wrong about that. So what do you guys think about these game prices and Matthew Karcher's statement, man? Feel free to comment down below. What's up, like on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you on the next one.